Mic test, mic test, mic test. Mic test. Is this live? Oh, it is live. Okay, cool. Okay. Get ready. There we go. That's muted. Phone is away. And let me give everyone the stream link. Okay. I'm just putting the stream everywhere so that way people can see it. Okay, 1 second. Should start the stream in a minute. Just need to get the comments rolling so that way I can actually see what you guys are saying. Oh, there we go. Okay. Good enough. Okay, so I should be able to see the comments like that, and I checked the audio. The audio seems to be good, so let's get started. What's up, guys? I'm Mark100, and I'm going to be editing a video live. This video is going to be the upcoming Kirito vs. Yuuki sequel video, which I've been working on for a very long time. Where was it? Music, maybe? Yeah, Kirito vs. Yuuki 2, is this it? 01? Yeah, that should be it.
Section 0, misconceptions.
Perfect. Okay, so now let's open a Vegas Pro 17. And also, let me open the script. Word. Shoot. No. He said junk. Here we go. What is this project? What is this project?
person's body to use a sword skill is therefore called the system speed. The system speed is not a...
I didn't start this I didn't start editing this video yet. What is this? Legit, what is this? When did I make this? What is this file? Okay, let's start by opening the... Where is it? Project Media, so I can see what in God's name this file is. Explore containing folder. Ah, I remember what this video is. Yeah, this video was cancelled and effectively remade into the video that I am making right now. Okay. This video is meant to explore whether or not Yuuki can be considered system speed, which is a separate topic I'm delving into in this bigger video. Okay. XY Explorer, which should help me get assets easier and organize everything easier. Okay, and we'll close that for now. Now, let's get started on this project. So first things first, we need to import the actual files. So, this project is going to be divided up into 3 sub-projects. That's how large this video is. Or is it 4? I don't even remember. 3 to 4 sub-projects. So, this should be section 2. What section is this? Okay, let me check the script. This is section 0. Okay. Section 0. Now I'm going to move all the files into there. And I'm going to create a new folder called Commentary. And this is effectively just for all the commentary parts, so that way it's in a separate folder. Assets. No, I'll have a master folder for the anime. Yeah, so let's start with commentary and assets. So now I'm going to import the thing from commentary. So these are all the files from commentary, and let's make everything bigger. And by making it bigger, it should allow me to view the waveform a lot larger, which should allow me to make a lot more precise cuts. Now while I'm at it, I'm also going to adjust the resolution and the frame rate. So I'm going to be editing this in... Can I do 120? I should be able to do 120. Oh yeah, Vegas doesn't really like when you work in larger than 60. So let's do 60. Because I know I'm going to be editing some things that require showing 120, but I don't think YouTube even supports 120, and I don't think the edits, it's complicated. I'm showing stuff that will need 120 FPS, but either way, I don't think YouTube allows for showing 120 FPS, so it's going to down render it to 60 FPS anyways. And because I don't need precise rendering anyways for certain keyframes, it's okay for me to edit in 60 FPS, and then I'll try to emulate 120 FPS through the actual rendering. As for the rest of it, the file is going to be 1920 by 1080. Anyone with any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm just going to be going over my methodology, things I'm doing, things like that. And this video is both showing how I actually make my videos, but also, if you're new to video editing as a whole, feel free to ask any question you'd like in the comments, or even join my Discord and ask me on my Discord, and I'll answer anything you have questions about. Or you could join the Vegas support Discord server. 1 second. Expires after never. This right here is that link if you want to join this Discord server where I am a moderator. And basically, if you need help with Sony Vegas as a whole, then you could join that Discord server and ask for help. Now, so I'm editing this video in 1920 by 1080. Vegas 17 supports a new feature that allows you to combine multiple sub-projects into one larger project, and that's what I'm going to be doing for this. This video I'm expecting to be a minimum of 2 hours, a maximum of possibly 6 hours. I don't think it's going to reach 6 hours, but it is plausible at the current rate of recording. I'm not done recording the commentary. This is part of a part of the commentary, so there's that. So in order to edit this efficiently, the best way to do it would be to divide everything into subsections and edit each subsection as if it's its own individual video. Then to combine everything together after the fact into one larger project and then render it as one. So basically I need to make sure that the project properties are identical across projects. So firstly, the width is 1920, the height is 1080, HDR is going to be off, field order is none, pixel aspect ratio is square, output rotation is 0, frame rate is 60, pixel format 16, the full resolution quality is best, everything here looks good. Okay. So now, as you can see, we have track 1 for the actual audio. I'm now going to make a track for the video. So let's insert a video track. And how I generally do things is that the bottom layer of anything is the background layer. So let me grab the background. Kirito versus Yuuki 2. Let me do a new folder. Global assets. This is in the master directory above section 0 because this is going to be an asset grabbed by all aspects of the project. So I should have this in my YouTube folder in my archive. Archive videos. Vegas saves. No, where is it? Useful video assets, probably this. No, that's very old. Okay. I should be able to grab it from one of these. I think I used it here. Extra large icons. Oh, I'm almost definitely going to need this. I'm almost definitely going to need that. This is probably something I'll need. This I'll need. You know what? Honestly, I might as well grab half this folder. This is the files from the first video. I'm very much likely going to need most of the files from here. My microphone's in the way. I can't see everything easy. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to grab a lot of these files. They seem like they're probably going to be pretty useful. As for the pictures, I'm probably going to... No, actually, I might reuse those pictures. I'll grab the video files later, because I might want to grab them separately again. But where's the background? That's the annoying thing. Okay, why am I using the regular Windows File Explorer? Let me use XY Explorer. Okay. Where is music? Let's close that. Here it is. Kirito versus Yuuki 2. Can I pin this? I haven't used this program a lot. I bought it just because I know it's very useful for video editing. Because I don't like the thing built into Vegas. Can I pin this or no? Like, so that way I can't delete it. Whatever. It doesn't matter, I guess. Okay, global assets. Let's put those here. And I should... Oh, looks like that's a universal zoom here. Okay. Views here. Thumbnails 3. Perfect. Can I duplicate this? Okay, so that's the default tab. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I really haven't used this program a lot, but it's very useful. Here, clone tab. I'm going to move this over here. And then I'm going to have... So this is the base folder. This is global assets. Let's duplicate it again. Can I go back one? Here. Then I'm going to go one for section 0. And then that's good. Okay. Now let me find the background layer. Seriously, where is it? Oh, I think I know why it's not there. Yeah, that's annoying. I think I know why it's not there, though. I'm gonna have to find it then. Should be in this video then. I'm pretty sure I used it in my mind did nothing wrong video. Here it is, the background. I can close this now and put this in global assets and set the view here for thumbnails 3. Wow, 5 people are watching. Why is my comments not updating? Okay. My man, bro, I was reading your comments like a couple days ago wondering how long it would take. You got this done a little early. No, it's not nearly done yet. I am splitting up the video into multiple sections on purpose. So I just recorded maybe like an hour, maybe half an hour of one part of the... Not even. I recorded 14 minutes, 15 minutes of one section of the video. Specifically... I recorded from here. You can see the numbering that I use over here. So 0, 1, and that, let me just do an XY blur. So that actually corresponds to right over here, 0, 1, 0, 2, and so on. Everything below this is garbage takes, like takes that I just screwed up. So I have a ton of blooper material so far even. And so far I spent maybe 5 hours just on the commentary. I spent maybe 20 to 30 hours on the scripting so far, believe it or not. And I'm not nearly done with scripting either. So this edit so far, just for right now, is going to cover from here till maybe around here. I don't know if I recorded everything. Yeah, I think I recorded up till this point. So really, I did not record a lot yet, and I'm not even done with scripting yet. If you want to get a perspective on how large this script is, this is not done yet. There are, it's over 12,000 words so far. The average college essay is like 500 words. This script is easily going to surpass 20,000 words at the current rate. I wouldn't be surprised if it surpasses 30,000 words even. How big will this video be? I'm thinking it's going to be anywhere between 2 to 6 hours, which is nothing I've ever made has been this long. And this is practice, by the way, because the video after this, not the video after this, but like 2-3 videos after this, I'm finally planning on uploading the Kayaba theory. The grand theory I've literally been researching for over 5 years now, which is, why did Kayaba commit the SAO incident? And that is going to be a monster of a video. Again, I've been researching it for over 5 years now, which is nuts. Okay, give me 1 second. I want to get the live chat up, and okay, looks like the live chat should be working now. I have it on a different screen, so that way I could maximize the screen for editing. So now I have the base assets done, and they're all in the correct folders. And with the base assets in the correct folders, I can now focus on actually editing. So the first part to editing is to cut the unnecessary sections from any of the commentary. So that means I need to, normally I go through the whole thing, do it all at once. That is more efficient, but it's a lot more boring for you guys to watch. So I think I'm going to do it a slower but better way for you guys. Just do one clip at a time as I get to it. So normally, there are 2 ways to edit. What you can do is you could either do a linear fashion of editing, meaning that I edit this to completion. I edit, complete to completion until it's completely done. Then I go to this section. I edit. I do all the editing as much as it's done, as much as it needs, and I keep on going. Or you can do it in steps. So you do the required editing for only baseline things. Like, let's say I will just remove any unnecessary audio from here, then from here, and so on. Then I'll put base assets on top of that, and then I'll put some light animation on top of that, and so on. Normally, I opt for the latter option because it's a lot more efficient and it allows you to make a much better video. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to be doing a hybrid approach because it's very boring for you guys to watch me just edit down clips and just remove audio. Some more comments. I thought there was already an answer. Yeah, I think you're referring to Stone Mario's comment. Owen CMYK. Hey, I'm here now. Awesome. Welcome. Okay, so if anyone has any questions on editing in general, even if it has no relation to this video, please let me know. I've been editing for over a decade now. I'm effectively, completely an expert at it. I really know what I'm doing, so this stream is just as much about actually making the video as it is teaching you guys how to edit. Jared Bowen said I was referring to why Kaiba made SAO. So there is a canon explanation for it, but everyone agrees it's nonsense, his explanation. In fact, it's actually backed up by canon that his explanation was fairly nonsense. According to Kaiba, he committed the SAO incident because he wanted to fulfill his dream of a castle floating in the sky that he's had since he was a kid. Now, this is partially true, at least according to my theory. So some people believe this is 100% the answer. Some people believe this is completely just nonsense. And some people, like me, believe it's partially true but not the complete answer. The real reason, at least according to my theory, is that the castle Aincrad is a metaphor. It's not meant to be taken literally. The castle traditionally protects what's inside, which is, and let me just open a picture of the castle Aincrad so that way you can see. Castle Aincrad. And by the way, if the resolution looks weird, it's because I have two ultra wides right next to each other, in case you guys are curious. Like one on top of the other. It makes it much more efficient to edit. So let me make this big for you guys. So a castle is generally historically meant to protect whatever's inside, whether that be royalty or whatever it is. So what is Kaiba trying to defend that's inside of this castle Aincrad? Well, we know that if you look at his other actions, I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm still researching and also because I could go on for literal hours on this topic. But basically, what reason would Kaiba have to give Kirito the seed after the ALO arc or the Fairy Dance arc? Why would he give Kirito the seed? What was the purpose of that? After the SAO incident is complete, what's the purpose of Kaiba doing anything after that point? He himself is dead. His ghost is, not his ghost, but his after image is doing its thing. But what was his purpose? Because clearly the end goal was not to just kill 4,000 people. Clearly there was some other reason behind it. Now, initially, years ago, 5 years ago, my initial gut theory was that Kaiba was a martyr, that he had, if you guys know the train experiment, the train theory, that you have a moving train and a switch, and there's 10 people on one track and one person on the other, and you could actively avoid the 10 people and kill the one. Which one is the best which one are you morally responsible to do? And there really is no answer, because if you actively divert the train, less people will die, but you actively chose to kill that one person, versus by not doing anything, more people ultimately die. So it's a very hard moral question. My initial theory 5 years ago was Kaiba realized that he's in a very similar situation, being the creator of the VR technology of the era, that this technology, as we literally saw in the ALO arc where Sugo said that he was going to use it for mind control and sell it to the American government, that this technology could be used to not only take over the world, but effectively destroy it and potentially harm or even kill millions upon millions of people. And Kaiba realizing the potentials for this technology, and no one else realizing this is eventually going to happen if precautions are not taken, he decided to create an artificial incident in the form of the SAO incident, where he effectively skewed the odds in the player's favor to make it as unlikely as possible for people to die. But in order for it to have any kind of effect, it had to have a minimum number of people, so that way people take it seriously. 10,000 was a good number to get worldwide attention, and at the same time, people actually had to die. If there was no stakes, then they would just take off the headsets. And also, if no one actually died, no one would take it seriously. There would be no call for regulation. So by creating this artificial incident, and by stacking everything in the player's favor, so that way only the best of the best players actually get access to it, of those best of the best players, they have everything stacked in their favor, from making it discouraging player killing to moving the location of the first floor boss room, so that making it nearly impossible to find it after 2 months, so that way people don't go ahead to the higher floors and then get themselves killed early by being overconfident. There's so many pieces of evidence point to he wanted to minimize the death, and that was my initial theory of, okay, he realized that there's a lot of danger involved with this technology, and people are not going to take him seriously unless something happens, so he was the martyr to create something to happen. As I researched this theory more and more, I realized that's not entirely the case. By ending the theory there, you're only getting half the story. And I could just end it there, and I could create a 2-hour video with just the evidence of that, because there's so much evidence just pointing to that being correct. But no, it's more than that, because if you end the theory there, it doesn't consider why he told Kirito and Asuna that his whole motivation was his childhood dream of the castle Aincrad. And why a castle anyways? Why a floating castle? There's so many unanswered questions in that regard that you can simply say, like, let's say he was completely lying, but he wouldn't have made it, all these things of making a castle like this if that was the case, if he was lying. So clearly there is some truth behind his childhood dream of a castle Aincrad, and that simply being unable to answer that question is what led me to research this for so long. By this point, I have an answer to that question, but it led me to so many further questions of, okay, how, basically that led me to further questions. Like, by this point, I'm researching in Excel world, like how his actions are proven to be the correct thing once we see Excel world, which is like 15 years in the future, and whether or not other things he's doing are, basically it goes down a whole rabbit hole. This Kaiba theory is going to put the Kirito versus Yuuki video that I'm editing right now to shame. Jared Bowen asked, okay, imagine you make a video and Reki Kawahara comments, "You're wrong, LOL." That would be amazing. Like, I don't even care if he says I'm right, I'm wrong. Just knowing Reki would have hypothetically seen one of my videos, that would be great. You also said, so Kaiba's like Lelouch. Kind of. The thing is, I just don't like Code Geass. I saw it. The ending to Season 2 was great, but I strongly disagree with, like, a lot of the things that happened in that show, because it was just so poorly written. Like, half the characters are just doing absolute nonsense. Suzaku is such a moron for half the show. I just don't want to draw parallels between Kaiba and anyone from that show, mostly because I actually, like, most people that don't like SAO will yell at me for this. I don't care, yell at me, but SAO fundamentally, even the anime, is a fundamentally better written show than Code Geass. The ending to Code Geass was great, though. I won't knock that. Anyways, let's get back to editing now, though, now that you understand the core idea behind the Kaiba theory. That video is going to be completely massive. Again, I've been researching it for over 5 years now. That theory is the entire reason I started reading the light novels. So let's get started. So with the waveform expanded like this when I'm editing, and when it's expanded this big, you could really zoom in and see, okay, where exactly is the commentary starting? And by doing that, I don't even need to waste time listening to each section of the commentary to verify that. I could just go ahead and much quicker just delete it like this. So I could click right over here, zoom in, and normally I'd have to actually listen to the thing every single time. Like, I have to go over here, I click play.
Section 0, misconceptions.
Click that every single time, and the annoying thing with that is it slows down the workflow. The whole point of a 2-monitor setup like this is that it expands the workflow and makes it much faster. So let's go. So now I put that over there. I could delete this. Let me just unpin the file explorer for this project because I don't want to rely on that. Okay, so now I'm going to put the background in right over here, and I'm going to expand that out for the entirety of the video, as you can see over here. I'm also going to save, so that way I don't lose the project. And I'm like a save hawk. I save like every 4 seconds. And I'm going to save it to right over here, so this is going to be titled Section 0. And here we go. So now let's listen to the commentary. And I'm going to lower the volume a bit because it's a bit loud in my earbuds.
Section 0, misconceptions. Section 0, misconceptions. Section 0, misconceptions.
I like that last one best. Normally, I don't record. I don't record in threes. Like generally, VAs try to record everything in threes, and I don't do that generally. But for like the section numbers, things like that, they're so short. I might as well. I figured, and pick the best one, and I'm glad I did because I like that third one best. Okay. So now we effectively have the background layer, and I make the audio waveform the biggest when I'm editing the audio. Then I shrink it down. The background layer will always remain really effectively as small as possible because I very rarely have to actually edit the background unless I'm like taking it out temporarily. Now, as you know, if you know anything about video editing, the bottommost layer is the lowest priority. So effectively that means if I add in another layer, so I add in another video track, and I put an asset over here, so I'm just going to show this for testing purposes right now. If I put this right over here, as you can see, that will appear on top of the background layer because things that are higher up will be more likely to appear. Now let me adjust the quality so that way it's best full, and I guess over here. So another benefit of having a really big monitor like this and having things like this is that I can make it as big as possible, and I'm seeing this is blurry. This is very blurry, in fact. If it's small like this, most people you'll have like this, that you'll be on one monitor and you're editing like this. So you have to shrink the waveforms, you have to shrink everything, and like this, it looks completely fine. But if I expand it big enough, I can see, no, that is blurry. If you blow that up onto a TV, you blow that up into a larger device, then that's going to be very visibly blurry. So that's one benefit of why I upgraded my setup to do all this, and it looks like I'm going to remove that asset. Either way, I don't need it right now, so... Jared Bowen, do you think that Kirito is a Gary Stu? Not even close. Kirito has his problems as a main character. Being a Gary Stu is not one of them, straight up. His main issue as a character, in my opinion, honestly, is as simple as Reki is horrible at writing fight scenes. And this is more of a problem with SAO in general than Kirito as a character. Like, there are some great fight scenes with Kirito, don't get me wrong, but it's like in the light novel, and I'm not focusing on the anime. The anime I don't care about. In the light novel, like let's say Kirito and Yugo versus Quinella, it was the most boring thing in the world to read. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I have the weakest and the most garbage reading comprehension in the world, and I get bored easily. But the fight was effectively Kirito dodges the sword golem. He steps back. He yells, Yugo or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever. Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know. And, I don't know, it's just boring. SAO is at its best when they're delving deep into the lore. Reki is great with concepts. He's not great with fights. When he puts his concepts into his fights, it's amazing. When he does not, it's really annoying. Anyways, a trim start, move that over there. Now, something you want to pay attention to is, as you saw at the start of this editing session, I changed the frame rate. By default, it was 30, and then I changed it to 60. So if you ever do that after you already imported some files, you'll notice that there will be a very small gap, and you always want to watch out for that, because let's say there's like with audio, it's not that big a deal, but with video, let's say you have a clip over here and a clip over here, and there is that tiny little gap. This is not even a frame. How much is this? Yeah, this is not even a full frame. The yellow to the yellow is a full frame. This is a full frame. Putting it over here is not a full frame. But depending on certain scenarios, even if it's not a full frame, then that will still actually be visible in the video. And I've had videos that I've made, notably, I'll pull it up really quick. I know which video it is. Here, this video right here. You could watch it on your own if you want, but there are sections in this video where I did some very bad cuts, and I notice it. I know maybe you guys don't notice it, but I really notice it as an editor. Anyways, let's get back to editing, because if I just keep on talking, then this video will take forever to edit, like videos tend to do. Okay, so section 0. Misconception.
Aims to debunk common misconceptions about the fight. If I replied to your comment saying to watch section 0, it means...
Oh, let me just mention ahead of time, this video, or at least this section, is just very snarky, because when you get daily comments from people who didn't watch the stinking video, I'm referring to the first video of Kirito versus Yuuki that I did a while back. When you get comments daily of people saying Kirito only lost because of a time limit, when I spent literally 10 minutes discussing how that is not canon, let's just say it grinds your gears after a while. So I made an entire section dedicated to debunking those dumb misconceptions. And I can outright just tell people, okay, revert to this timestamp where I explicitly look at your dumb comment, because I'm actually going to be referencing comments from that video. You know what? I should probably pull up that video because of that. Kirito versus Yuuki. So I'm actually going to be citing a comment from this video for that purpose. So let's get into this, and let's actually get some editing done. So right now I'm doing some baseline editing. What does that mean? Baseline editing means that I simply put the most absolute required assets. That means things like the backgrounds, and that means things like, let's say, a character model. That means like a comment that I'm referring to, sourcing, things like that. After that so I do that for the entire video, or at least this entire clip section. After that, what you do is you begin animation processes, and you build on top of the foundation you left. Jared Bowen, is this editing stream gonna spoil what you're gonna say in the video? Yes, it will. I mean, I'm editing the video live. It's going to... Right here is the misconception. So really, most of this is stuff that's either common sense, like not even joking. I had to do an entire thing right over here. I think it's 04 right here. It should be 04. That I literally stated, your headcanon is not canon. So if you don't want simple things like that spoiled, then yeah. And I do delve into light other topics, like section 5 over here. I think this was where I went into some computer theory or stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some of the commentary. This section, though, is not discussing any main points. This section is just misconceptions. So let's go.
This section aims to debunk common misconceptions about the fight. If I replied to your comment saying to watch section 0, it means I suspect you didn't even watch this far into the video. Whatever you just typed is so completely wrong, it does...
I just want to check the... Okay, so to me, let me just make that a little bit louder. Just so that way you guys could hear it a bit better. Here we go. Let's rewind a little, and here we go.
It's so completely wrong, it doesn't even warrant an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong. Because instead, I decided...
There, that's something I need to fix. So, also in this part of the editing, I edit out small mistakes in the commentary like that. So, some small stutters, things like that. Usually, if I stutter a lot in a section, then I'll re-record the entire section, unless I really like how it came out. But usually, I go off the script, and when I go off the script, if there's like a small stutter at some point, then I will nix it. So,
an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong. Because
there. So here, another benefit of having a really, really big monitor. So I could really go in there. I could really see just how deep this audio waveform is, and I could really fix it.
You're wrong. You're wrong. Because instead...
Here, so I need to go back a little. I think it's this section right here.
Explaining why you're wrong.
No, it's there. So here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this, and I'm going to mute it. And I'm not deleting it. I'm muting it because I want to see how it sounds even with it gone, but with it you'll see in a second.
Why we're wrong. Because
no, so I need to actually add to it. Here.
You're wrong.
So I think it starts here. And let's mute both of the... Oh, shoot. I need to edit... I haven't used Vegas 17 yet, really, for any major video, so I need to edit the hotkeys. So switches, mute, and let's hear that.
Explaining why wrong. Because in...
Okay, so it looks like...
You're wrong. Because...
Perfect, I nailed it. Okay. It was that section. So now, watch this. So notice if you zoom in, as Vegas automatically applied a crossfade, or not a crossfade, just added some fades. No, actually it did do a crossfade. Okay. It did some fades automatically. And that's so that way, if you remove it, it sounds very hard. It softens it, so that way it sounds more natural, which is good.
Explaining why you're wrong. Because instead...
There we go. So it sounds like a cut. I'm not an audio editing professional. I'm a video editing professional. So I can't really fix something small like that. I'm sure there are ways if I research it, but I focus more on the video than the audio, and a cut like that, in my opinion, is more than sufficient.
Doesn't even warrant an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong. Because in...
There we go. That's perfect. Okay, Jared Bowen. Do you plan on making how strong videos? Are you referring to, like, let's say Goku versus Vegeta, Dragon Ball, things like that? The only reason I made this video is because I'm trying to focus on SAO content. I'm planning on making some more power scaling for SAO videos, and just more SAO videos in general, but not general power scaling videos outside of SAO. Things like this require a ton of research, and I will not release a video if I'm not 100% confident in the research. So because of that, I want to stick with things I'm very familiar with rather than jump into whole different topics. So let's rewind a little bit and let's keep going.
Completely wrong. It doesn't even warrant an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong. Because instead, I decided to dedicate this entire section of the video just for you. And by the way, unless the comment is very, very long and I just don't have time to reply to it, I generally do my best to try to reply to every comment I get. Every point in this section is here because of an actual comment I got in my previous Kirito versus Yuuki video. For those of you who have yet to comment and or are not brain dead enough to think that SAO has Neptunia style main character plot armor, I will be showing the comments from the previous video here so we can all point and laugh at them. In all seriousness though, while most of these misconceptions are just the result of monkeys with access to the YouTube comment section, some of these are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe.
Perfect. Okay, so I like how that turned out, so let's edit that down a small bit. Jared Bowen, I was hoping for a how strong is Suguha video, lol. So I can actually scale Suguha. So here's the problem with SAO power scaling. This will spoil part of the video. It's effectively not possible to do. Okay, it is possible to do, otherwise this video wouldn't exist, but power scaling SAO is much different from power scaling, let's say, Dragon Ball, Ben 10, MCU, things like that. Because with all of those series franchises, insert X, whatever you want to insert, 99% of series, they have a universal form of physics, meaning that in the MCU, not the MCU, because the MCU, I guess, is actually one of the few exceptions, as far as I'm aware, at least. I don't want to delve into that. That's why I avoid the MCU. Let's say Dragon Ball, okay? Keep in mind, I don't know much about Dragon Ball, aside from the fact that it's used for power scaling a ton, which is why I'm using it in this example. Whatever world they're in, they are all in the same world, meaning that if Goku and Vegeta train for X amount of time, and you compare them, well, it's the same physics being applied to both of them while they're training, while they're getting stronger and things like that. SAO is different because in SAO, each VR game applies different levels. The balance is different in each world. For example, it's explicitly confirmed that Sword Art Online has a PvE balance system where leveling is much more important. So, for example, if you are 10 levels higher than someone you are fighting in a PvP battle, you can literally heal faster than they can damage you, like we saw with Kirito versus the Titan's Hand Guild. Meanwhile, in ALO, it's a lot more balanced around PvP, and levels don't usually mean a difference, at least at top level play. I'm going to delve into it a ton in this video as to how all that works. But because each one of those is different in terms of its balance, it means that if you compare something like Kirito being able to down the 474 boss in SAO, that's not really possible to scale that to something like even Yuuki and the Sleeping Knights versus the 426 boss in New Ongrid. Even with statements like that the bosses were made to be a lot harder, and with knowledge on how a lot of the new systems work and everything like that. Basically, when you're comparing feats between games, it requires a whole lot of assumptions to be made, or an incredibly deep dive into the lore with some minor assumptions. So I opt for the latter in order to, and I try to factor in absolutely everything possible, and the sectioning of this video is done explicitly. The section 1 is everything with explicitly in ALO, so there's no scaling differences, so only proof from ALO, and then on top of that, it's only things that we know are 100% accurate, things that are completely undeniable. So section 2 of the video are things like, let's say, what's a good example? Like Kirito being able to cut bullets. That's something that gives a very strong indication for Kirito of how strong he is, but because it cannot be, it can be actually, because we do have spell blasting, but this is just an example. But if you just say, okay, he cut Sinon's Hecate Mark II 50 caliber bullet in half, and in real life that gun exists, and we know that moves, let's say, for example, 1,500 feet a minute, whatever it is. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but we could compare that, and we could come to an actual calculated reaction time based on that. We could also take into account things like Kirito being stated that he tries to predict the predictions, and that he knew where Sinon was going to fire in order to nick some of that advantage, but things like that will be in section 2, where we do have to add some more speculative assumptions in order to scale that. Then section 3 is going to be things that are completely just nonsense, of things that, like, we have to make way too many assumptions for it to be factored, but things that, you know something, it would be entertaining in order to compare them, like Kirito versus the 474 boss of Ongrid versus Yuuki and the Sleeping Knights versus the 426, 27, and 29 bosses of New Ongrid, which, by the way, in spite of it being a much lower floor number, you would think, oh, it's no comparison. He soloed the 474 boss while Yuuki needed an entire guild in order to beat a lower floor boss. Nope. When you factor everything, it's a lot more comparable. Much more. In fact, I personally would argue that Yuuki being able to beat the 424, 26, 27, 29 bosses is actually a greater feat, but again, that's section 3, where things like that are more up for debate. The idea is each progressive section is more or less up for debate, but section 1 is effectively, this is the facts. You cannot refute these facts. Jared Bowen, last question. Why does Alice seem so ungrateful to Yugo, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever? I don't know. I mean, I never got that impression. I just got the impression that she moved on. Why the blank? Have we never seen Nagata after? Oh, you mean Rekon? Mostly because Leafa just completely friend-zoned him. That's like the main reason. He's just not important to the plot. If you think about it from Reki's perspective, there are so many characters that he should focus on and put more attention on. And reintroducing Rekon when he's not a fan favorite, no one cares about him, and he was only important for that arc and barely important for that arc. There's no real point in reintroducing him when you could give that screen time to characters that actually are fan favorites and don't get a lot of screen time, like Silica, Elizabeth, Alice, characters like that. Okay, so now I'm going to put a flag around this section. So, really it's called a region in this case, but I just call them flags. This will help me put comments in the actual thing. So, what I could do, I think actually you have the ability to put actual comments now with Vegas 17, but I'm not going to use it right now at least. Right over here though, introductory nonsense. So that just indicates to me, okay, this is introductory nonsense. What will be put over there in terms of the edit is a lot more... It's not really set in stone. I can put whatever I want there, but I should put something there after the fact. And what's going to go there more just determines on what the transition is going to be between the previous section and this section. Now, from section 3 onwards, that's when we get into things that actually require some edits. Here we go. And sorry for any background noise. So let's highlight this section and cut that. Oh, shoot. Okay. Ah, I see. Okay. There we go. Okay, looks like I accidentally cut in the middle of a frame, which is somewhat annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, now let's do this. Let's move over here, and let's hear this.
Point 1. Your headcanon is not canon. You can think that Kirito is stronger all you want, but if you cannot back it up with any evidence beyond you just saying he is, then I'm sorry, but you're just flat out wrong. I've seen legitimate arguments in favor of Kirito. I've debunked every one of them and will do it again in this video, but you could at least try pointing to a legitimate argument. If you can't even be bothered to state a reason on why you think Kirito is stronger, then I won't be bothered to spend my time formulating an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong.
There we go. Okay, so that was a good point right over there. So for this section, I'm actually going to be referencing actual comments from the first video. So that means I actually have to find those comments that I am referencing. So this is going to be a bit of an annoying thing. Okay, what about skill connect, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to opt for the simpler, shorter ones because there are a bunch of longer ones that go a lot more in depth. And I want to be that you could like read the comment really quick while listening to me. I just think that Kirito... yeah, this is the perfect example comment right over here. Rectangle snap right over here. So section 0, assets. So this is going to be 0-4, I think. No, this is 0-3. Section 0, assets. Let's rename that to 0-3. And, oh, I didn't save it. Okay, here. 0-3. Here we go. So I'm gonna grab a couple of these because this is the first point. I want to make it. I want to make this one like a really strong point of like referencing as many of these dumb comments as possible for this one. For this one especially. Okay. So again, I'm skipping over a lot of the lengthier comments. Okay, this I'm going to reference multiple times, this one. Now, actually, this one doesn't... yeah, I'm going to reference that one for a different one. Okay, this is a perfect example of headcanon. Comment 2. So a large part of editing really is just gathering assets in order to put everything together. Dad, stop! Okay. Got another comment, Jared Bowen. But even when Alfheim characters went to help in the Underworld War, he didn't even get a cameo. Yeah, good point. Actually, I think in the light novel he might have made a cameo. I don't know about the anime because I dropped the anime for it being a piece of garbage. Okay, 1 second. Here's another great one. Actually, it says current, so. Yeah. I'm trying to pick comments that are just like really obvious. Here. Yeah, there's a lot of really dumb ones here. Okay, this is deceptively good because the focus of of that point is on headcanon, but I delve into things like okay, if you cannot back it up with evidence and saying I think his damage output is stronger with a single sword, it doesn't matter. That's effectively still headcanon. What you think doesn't matter. There's no stats given in the light novel as to who has more damage output. And while that can be a reasonable assumption, it's still an assumption, and it doesn't matter when it's been shown that Kirito has lost. Twice, in fact. So if we've seen a 1 versus 1 sword fight, it doesn't matter if you think his damage output is stronger, because we've already seen he lost in that scenario. So some other factor gave Yuuki the edge, even if his damage output would be stronger. Here's another really dumb one. As you can see, there's a lot of really dumb comments. So some of these I'm actually gonna probably use twice. So like this guy says plot armor, and the next point right after this is like, no, SAO does not have Neptunia style plot armor. DMX says, yo, yo. Okay. Jared Bowen, don't make DVZ content. Seth will witch hunt me. I don't make videos in order to appeal to the least common denominator, as I like to put it. I make videos for fun. If I do not have fun making a video, I will not make it straight up. I just don't care about Dragon Ball. That's why I would never even consider making videos on it. I only make videos for the things that I really, really enjoy making content on, just because of the sheer time sink that goes into most of my videos, because I am a perfectionist by nature. So I don't care if, let's say I were to make a Dragon Ball video, I don't care if Seth goes after me. Screw you, I don't care. I'll make whatever I want to make, and if you don't like it, too bad. Yuuki has an invited. Okay. Oh my god, this, oh my god. You know what? Honestly, I need to add another section to the thing. Okay, I'm saving this for something else. Oh my god, I'm gonna add another point to this section just because of this comment. Oh my god, and this guy's just so flat out wrong. Within the time he went to fight, tying, he reset his stats 3 times already. Citation needed. No, what am I doing with this comment? Why would I reply with something so long? I literally should have just said citation needed. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. This guy fundamentally doesn't understand what editing is. Says the anime isn't canon, so you can't use anime fights. Proceeds to use the anime as evidence for his own point. No. I'm sorry, but using the anime as a visual element, so that way my viewers don't get bored, that's not using it as evidence. Dibs. Oh my god. I don't even understand this comment. If you divide 27 by 2, where are you getting 27 from anyways? It's still the same. Also, if Zekken... no, it's not still the same. 27 divided by 2 is not 27. Oh my god, these people... I'm convinced that half of these people are trying to troll me. I should do a video just laughing at these people's comments. Also, if Zekken was bad and killed Asuna in SAO or something, Kirito... what is this guy even talking about, honestly? I don't... I legitimately don't understand half of what these people are saying. I'm at 8 comments so far of people literally saying, no, my headcanon is stronger than actual canon. I shouldn't have... there shouldn't be one of these comments. It reminds me of that scene in SAO Abridged where Kaiba was like, he started out by saying, like, I'm going to tell you guys what every content creator has ever wanted to say to their audience. Blank all, y'all. Do you have any idea? He basically just goes on a tirade just saying how dumb they are. And, like, saying, do you have any idea how many of you have killed yourselves while saying Leroy Jenkins? More than 0. That's the impression I'm getting from these people in the comments. These are the types of people that, like, if they were actually stuck in SAO, they would die while screaming Leroy Jenkins. This I'm going to use for multiple. So I'm going to come back to it later. Yeah, this is... It does it... Okay, I want to make it things very clear. I don't give a blank what you think. What you think is irrelevant. What I think is irrelevant when we are discussing something of a factual basis. Opinions are completely meaningless in this regard unless you can back up your opinion with a direct canon citation. And by that point, it's no longer an opinion, it's a claim. So roll for S-Class Yuuki and Crossing Void. Yep, basically. There's so no, that I have a whole section on that. Okay. That I have a whole section on. I literally debunked every single one of these comments just in the debunking section of this video. I debunk every one of these comments before I even get to a single point explaining why Yuuki is actually stronger. Oh my god, this one is great. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit every one of these on screen. I legit don't know if I could fit every one of these on screen. Kirito let her win. Oh my god, that one's great. I'm not even at the bottom yet. Maybe I'm close to the bottom, but seriously. How many dumb comments did I get? Tsugua's character is so misunderstood. I mean, it's understandable why he's misunderstood. Like, I understand her character, but the Alfheim arc honestly did not do any favors for her. Entirely because of that arc, whenever I see her face, I'm like, incest. That's all she is to me. She is incest. I just don't like her as a character, honestly. Such a waste that her IRL design is wasted on a character I just don't like. If you like her, great. I'm glad you can enjoy something that I can't. I just don't like her. Oh my god, these people. Oh my god, he went easy on her because she's a girl. You dib. That would disrespect the entire send-off of her dying. Going easy on her. It's not even done. It's still loading more comments. I join and hear Sugua is incest. Yeah, basically. I mean, if you like Sugua as a character, great. I'm glad you can enjoy a character that I can't, in spite of her being the physical embodiment of incest in the SAO universe. I'm mostly joking. I just like playing around just because, honestly, I'm looking through comments. I need to keep you guys entertained somehow. I'm literally just grabbing comments for the video, gathering clips. How else am I supposed to make this entertaining? Could you briefly explain her character? Who, Sugua? Basically, how should I even describe it? This is why generally, by the way, I don't make videos without researching them first, and I don't try to make claims without researching them first. I could explain her, just not very well. Basically, Kirito was adopted into her family because his parents died. I think it's conflictory as to whether or not they died of a car crash or was never explained, because I remember in the web novel it was one way, and in the light novel it was the other way. Like, that either was never explained or it was a car crash. I don't know what current canon states. Basically, Kirito's stepdad, so Sugua's dad, forced them both to take kendo, and Kirito really didn't like it, so Sugua did it in Kirito's place. Kirito became Kirito effectively became a shut-in. Sugua continued with Kendo for a very long time. Eventually, midway through the SAO incident, she started playing ALO, at which point she started getting very good. She joined the Sylphs under Lady Sakuya. I could go on with her. I understand her character. I just really don't like the themes of her character, and I don't like the way it was executed. We can all love SAO as a series while criticizing any flaws of it. They're not mutually exclusive things. Everything has flaws. Nothing is perfect. Except Twin Tails. Twin Tails are perfect, but that's besides the point. Here we go. Yeah, I really don't know how I'm going to fit all these comments on screen. If she's your favorite, great. I'm happy you can enjoy a character that I can't. Shoot. No. Twin Tail cult is best cult. Yes, thank you. Twin Tails honestly are the greatest invention ever. If you could call them an invention, I guess. I don't know. Hashtag Twin Tails. I'm still going. The comments are just still going. These comments just keep going. It's... Oh my god. I'm at 16. 16 people who think that their headcanon is canon. $17. How long is this gonna go on for? Would ALO Yuuki beat Bercoli? That's a great question, and it is a video I have considered that I might do it at some point. In my opinion, I don't think so, actually. I legitimately don't think so. Now, keep in mind, this would be a very speculative battle, mostly because of the fact that Bercoli has never been outside of the underworld, and Yuuki has never been outside of ALO, meaning that you have to convert insane underworld scaling, which, by the way, for comparison, base non-incarnation Kirito, before even beating Quinoa, is scalable to light speed, not even joking, so you're scaling characters on that level to ALO. And in this video, I lightly explain how that scaling works, and I have a whole dedicated video in the future that I'm planning on Star King Kirito versus Yuuki, and how Yuuki would still kick his butt. I am not joking. Yes, that is a true 100%. Okay, not 100%. It's still speculative. The video more is that, oh, this topic is such nonsense that you really cannot compare it. But if you were to compare it, Yuuki would still win. Anyways, Bercoli versus Yuuki. I think Bercoli wins simply because of the fact that he has 200 years of sword experience, and let's say you flatten both of them out, because we haven't seen Bercoli do anything particularly crazy that we can say, oh, you know something, he's particularly like, we can, for the sake of Bercoli, say, oh, they're effectively, let's say, equal in terms of speed, and base them down.
With Kirito, though, when you're also factoring in things like bullet cutting and dodging light speed lasers, that's when you have real issues when it comes to scaling between worlds. But Broccoli, he's never done anything crazy like that makes the scaling particularly difficult, and we can assume that if they were in the same world, that equal feats would be roughly equal. It's very complicated. It's very deep into potential power scaling. But I think Broccoli would probably have the leg up, mostly because of the fact that he's really seen it all when it comes to swordplay. He's versed so many people. He's versed people to the death. Yuuki is no joke a massively strong fighter, but she's never fought to the death. And also another big issue for her is that the only thing really going for her is her potential. She is a natural born prodigy when it comes to VR and swordplay, but that's all she has going for her. She doesn't have the experience to back it up, and her life was cut too short in order to fully take advantage of it. If she was given the same amount of time that even Kirito had, like let's say, because Kirito has been playing MMO since really long before the SAO incident, but let's say Yuuki was playing ALO since day one of the SAO incident, just like Kirito, though let's say she was in SAO and then she goes through the same arc as Kirito. I think with that many years of experience that she would probably be able to beat Broccoli, but without that, Yuuki simply just doesn't have the years of experience, and the main thing, honestly, is the battle experience. Honestly, she's a natural prodigy, but Broccoli would definitely outsmart her in a fight, no question. At least in my view. And honestly, this is very speculative. I could do a dedicated video on it. I am considering a dedicated video on that. But just know that my opinion, and it's not a strong opinion. I honestly think that she does have the potential. She could beat Broccoli, but I think that if they were to hypothetically fight, Broccoli would win. Also, especially if you factor in Broccoli's time cutting sword, if he is allowed to use the enhanced armaments and incarnation, then honestly, he really just has too much of an advantage. When it comes to Kirito versus Yuuki, Yuuki has demonstrated in the same world, like both of them being in ALO, feats that are completely outside of the realm of possibility for Kirito to ever accomplish. That's if you go based off of OSS scaling, which is the most accurate form of power scaling that we currently have in the SAO universe, but it's very limited in terms of where you can use it. You go to beating Broccoli is one of the most underrated feats in the series. Yes, it is. Because now, keep in mind with Yugo versus Broccoli that it's simply because of the fact that Broccoli underestimated Yugo. He did not he thought he has such an overwhelming advantage that he was just going to play around, but Yugo really managed to outsmart him and get a significant leg up on him, and that's how he was able to win. But if both of them were fighting all out, it's pretty undeniable that Broccoli would kick his butt. Yeah, Yugo really just outsmarted him in that duel, and it was it's no question. You have to consider he has over 200 years of experience fighting to the death. This guy is no joke. Honestly, I would say he's probably the best swordsman in SAO. Like, no joke. If you give Yuuki the equivalent amount of experience, like, if you give her like a few years experience, I legitimately think she could probably beat him without issue. But you give Yuuki 200 years experience, a natural born prodigy who's able to learn these concepts and these sword play with remarkable speed to the point of her being able to do the kinds of things she does. I think it would be absolutely insane. Let's keep going because I'm still gathering comments. Will Kirito ever surpass Yuuki? Blah blah blah. Okay. Here, another moron saying God mode. He could beat everyone in SAO. No, he can't. Because Yuuki is not even in SAO. Okay, maybe he could beat everyone in SAO. I don't know. Can he actually? Okay, let's say Kirito versus everyone altogether. No questions, no.
But is he the strongest individual fighter in SAO? I'd say probably, yeah, honestly. Because you have to keep in mind, Heathcliff cheated his butt off. Even if you ignore the admin thing that prevented him from reaching the yellow, yeah, Heathcliff was still cheating his butt off. He had a system assist, according to the character interviews, that boosted his it boosted his reaction speed. There's still just more and more comments. How long does this go? These are all different comments. I'm up to 20 by this point for this one single point. I think I have an interesting idea what I'm going to do for the edit for this. Okay, I'm going to have to adjust the commentary probably for this. Wait, if Bercoli equals Gabriel, God Gabriel is greater than God Kirito, how is Yuuki stronger? Because you have to keep in mind, all of those are incarnation. Incarnation is effectively Reki's way of Deus Ex Machina the entire story. It's a Green Lantern ring if everyone in the SAO universe had a Green Lantern ring and there's no barrier for entry. It is effectively, you imagine it and it happens. The reason Gabriel was so strong was literally because in his mind, he couldn't imagine himself getting hurt. I'm not joking, that's the canon explanation of how Gabriel was completely unbeatable. Then, Kirito did a trick on Gabriel to make it that he had to materialize his arm in order to rip out Kirito's heart. And by putting razors in his heart, during the instant that he materialized his arm, because it's now materialized, he could hurt Gabriel, and by catching him by surprise, he won. Honestly, it was the most nonsense ending I've ever seen for an SAO arc. Complete nonsense, and that's the problem with Incarnation. The reason Yuuki is stronger is because if anyone can use Incarnation to any degree, it effectively means the only person that can possibly say who is stronger with Incarnation is Reki himself. That's why when you're doing any kind of SAO power scaling, you have to completely eliminate Incarnation, because who am I to say what Kirito can do with Incarnation and what he can't do? Because even the things he's been demonstrated to do, well, how do we know his opponents can't do it when anyone can do absolutely anything with no trigger with Incarnation? And it's actually contradictory as to whether or not training even affects the potential for Incarnation. That means if you take Yuuki, who's to say she would be incapable of pulling the same nonsense Gabriel did to make herself completely invincible? That's why you have to completely ignore Incarnation and you consider only base abilities. That's why I say it's easily that Yuuki could definitely beat Star King Kirito, because without Incarnation, Star King Kirito is no different from regular Kirito, and she could probably beat Bercoli if she had a bit more training, or maybe potentially even right now. I don't think so, but I think she does have the potential that she could beat Bercoli in a fair fight. Nephi Murphy, Kirito would beat Yuuki, but however, Yuuki wasn't the main character, so naturally... This is the exact comment that I'm trying to debunk. Oh my god. Oh my god. Nephi Murphy, I'm sorry, but... your headcanon is not canon. Maybe I'm just reading your comment wrong. That's entirely possible because I'm speed reading, so that way I keep you guys entertained, but... no, it's really very straightforward and very canon that no, Kirito is not stronger than Yuuki. So Gabriel without Incarnation is less than Kirito, less than Yuuki, less than Bercoli. Exactly. Now keep in mind with Gabriel, I really don't know where I would scale him. I think maybe he is probably top tier. I just don't know. Actually, no, he definitely is top tier, because if I remember right, he got the jump on Sinon in the, what was it, the 5th bullet of bullets? He got the jump on her and absolutely wrecked her. So, yeah, he's definitely top tier, but he's nowhere near Kirito or Yuuki if you're talking actual skill. We just haven't seen anything of his in terms of his actual raw skill that would demonstrate that. That's the problem. Okay, let's keep going. How many comments? It's absolutely ridiculous that I have now 21 comments of effectively people saying that my headcanon is canon. So Gabriel was... Oh, I just read that. Okay. Four in a row. Wow. Wrong, fanboy. Light novel Kirito sneezes and beats Yuuki. Kirito would definitely win. Oh my god, just 4 in a row right there. In versus battle, usually it's an equal battleground without plot armor. Yes, that is the case. There is no... okay, if you're talking like Neptunia, that's like there are exceptions. Like Neptunia, Neptune literally has a canon plot armor as long as she is the main character. That's like a canon ability of hers. But other than that, in series that are not literally a fourth wall breaking meme, like SAO... yeah, there is no plot armor. There never was plot armor. Kirito is not even... the only reason he's so strong is just because of the sheer amount of time he's put into this stuff. If you read that wrong. Okay, yes. I probably read that wrong. I'm sorry, Neffy Murphy. Anime logic doesn't really matter. You're scaling based off info from the few episodes she's in, so automatically most people assume she is weaker. That's a fair... way of looking at it, at least. The difference is it's a few episodes in the anime, but it's an entire volume, and you have to keep in mind that the anime really dropped the ball in terms of how strong Yuuki actually is. They did a fair job for the most part. I'd say Mother's Rosario still is the best adapted arc by far, but they still dropped the ball, because keep in mind, the first 100 or so pages is effectively just gushing over how strong Yuuki is. By the way, fun fact, in spite of Yuuki being the strongest the strongest fighter in ALO, she's not the fastest. Sugua is confirmed to be the fastest, at least in terms of like a race. Like if you're trying to get from point A to point B, let's say marathon style, Sugua is significantly faster than anyone else in ALO. But Yuuki can still kick her butt in an air battle. Neffy Murphy, true, but most of these comments are from the anime and probably wouldn't be so brain dead if they read the light novels. No, they'd probably be more brain dead if they read the novels, because me with my poor reading comprehension, if I have trouble remembering a lot of things with the light novel, these people that they cannot remember the anime properly, an actual visual auditory medium, there's no way they would comprehend anything from the light novel properly. Hey, Maddie, I haven't seen you in a while, mostly because I haven't streamed in a while. Did I actually hit the bottom? Am I at the bottom, finally? Oh my god, I finally hit the bottom. I finally hit the bottom. I got all the comments from that one part. Here we go. Okay. There is a total of 23 comments of people literally trying to argue their headcanon trumps actual canon. That means there are officially more comments that think that canon, that their headcanon is better than real canon than there are actual officially translated SAO light novels. Let that sink in. Now that I have 23 comments to add to this, The question is, how am I actually going to edit this in? So I'm thinking I can do something like you know how like you like put the comments on screen, it's like bam 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 bam, something like that with like a dinger noise. I'm thinking I could do something like that, but I already recorded this, so I might have to adjust it. So let's see how I'm going to do this. That entirely depends on how this is.
Point 1. Your head canon is not canon.
You know what? I'm probably going to start off with that. Okay. So first I need a ding sound effect. Ding sound effect. Perfect. Okay. Let's go to 4K YouTube to MP3. And that's there. Show in folder. And let's install that update, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Close this. Open XY Explorer, and this is going to be in Universal Assets. So global assets. Let's make a new folder for images and another one for audio. And I'll do the images after. Perfect. Here we go. Now, so here is what I'm going to do. So first, I'm going to turn on the auto ripple in order to move everything over as much as possible, so I have some good room to work with. And then I'm going to expand this and shrink this down since I don't need the audio waveforms for right over here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open XY Explorer, import the ding sound effect into its own separate track. And this is going to be this track is for general sound effects, so let me rename it to general sound effects. And let's rename this, because now that things are getting a bit big, I'm going to rename everything properly. So let's rename this to commentary. Jared Bowen said, so you're going to have a ding sound effect and have like all the comments come up at the same time. Yeah, basically. I'm thinking I start out like that, and then I'll add another recording thing, and I'm going to be like, oh my god, and then I'm going to be, so imagine like this, so I'm like, oh my god.
Point 1. Your head canon is not canon.
So I'm thinking probably something like that. I don't know how it will turn out. It might turn out garbage. I might scrap it midway through or even scrap it after the fact. But the point is, when I have this many comments for that one single point that shouldn't need to be explained, I don't think I could fit 23 comments on the screen at once to demonstrate how many people think this really dumb idea. So I think this is probably the best and most entertaining way to go about it. So I import all of them right over here. And now what I'm going to do is, let's rename this as background. Okay, and now let's shrink this down to, so normally sometimes I do some math for this. I'm not going to do a lot of math for this one. Yeah, they're all different sizes. Okay. Oh, okay. You know what? Let me just do 960 in that case. So that way all of these are half size. And I'm going to do it as a hold. Now, here's what that does. So this right here, for those that don't know, for those that do, sorry for the repeat, but this right here is called the track motion. This is probably one of the most useful functions of Vegas, and most editors support some kind of feature like this, unless you're using something like Windows Movie Maker. Basically, I could go like this. It's going up and down right now. Here. I can move it around wherever I want. Pretty simple. You could then edit in another keyframe in order so that way it could actually have some motion. But this is one of the most fundamental parts of editing and one of the parts of base editing. you could use this for basically you use this for positioning for base editing, and then you could add in some light animations for step 2 or step 3 editing. So step 1 editing involves, okay, here's the rough position. Then step 2 editing would be, okay, I go back, and what I do is I create a duplicate keyframe. So I will, let's say, copy this just for demonstration purposes. So I copy it, paste it like 5 frames down, go to the original one, move it up. I will set that to something like, let's say, a smooth, and then let's press play, and you'll see how that actually turns out. Let me make this as big as possible so that way you guys could really see. And even with the ding sound effect, the ding happened to just line up right there, and you can see how smooth that looks. Maddie said, have you ever heard of Neptuni Virtual Stars and Neptuni Reverse? Of course I have. I'm going to buy them as soon as they come out. I didn't pre-order them yet, but I'm probably going to pre-order them. Okay, so let's switch this back to a hold. So all these little options, linear, fast, slow, things like that, are just little adjustments for how it actually handles the thing. A hold means that it just stays in place. It doesn't have any motion associated with it. So if I create another keyframe right over here, then... and let's move this. So right now it's off screen. It will stay off screen until it actually reaches that keyframe, at which point it will literally just appear on screen where there, as you can see, there's no motion tied to it. Okay, so let's start with this. Now I'm going to need to create a lot of tracks for this, so let's... I'm going to need a total of 23 tracks. Let's start with this many. Maybe a pop-up sound would be better. Now, I've used ding sound effects. The ding sound effects tend to work pretty well for this. So, let's just see how it transitions into this.
Some of these are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe.
Okay, let's set the thing to 0, 0. Looks like they didn't fix that bug with Vegas 17. Whatever, it's not a big deal. Okay, so it's at half size, 0, 0, and let's see how that transitions in.
That you might still believe.
I have an idea how to do this, actually. I have a great idea, actually. Oh, never mind, that actually does work better. Yeah, so watch this. I actually have a great idea for how to do this. So first, let's go over here.
Point 1. Your head.
So I'm going to separate the point 1 from the rest of the thing. So watch this. So let's move this.
Point 1.
And I might re-record your head canon is not canon. Not sure yet. Oop, shoot. Here, let's cut that. And the reason I haven't moved over so far is just so that way it's completely separate. Let's also put a flag over here that this is 0-3.
Point 1.
So here's how it's going to go. So let's hear how that sounds.
Some of these are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe. Point 1.
Yeah, I'm liking how that's turning out so far. So here, what I'm going to do is... Let me move my microphone. So my audio might be less... you might not hear me as well, but I just need to see my screen better and my microphone's in the way. Okay, so that goes there. Then let's turn off the auto ripple. And I'm going to move this up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it that it slowly gets faster. So what it's going to do is those 23 comments need a dose of twin tails. Yes, they do. So it's going to start slow. So like let's say it's like it's ding, then ding, then ding, 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 like that. So point 1, ding, you read the comment. So let me see how long it takes me to read the comment, and then I'm going to press pause as soon as that does. Okay, so first I need to start from here so that way I have no frame of reference beforehand and I'm going in from the perspective of the viewer. Okay, 1 second.
1.
Let me try that one more time. 0.1.
0.1.
Perfect, right there. So, I'm going to put a flag over here. Insert marker. And then the next one is going to be right over here. So, now I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to copy, paste it. And I'm going to shorten it so that way it goes straight to the thing. And let's hear how that sounds.
Leave. 0.1.
That's a bit too long. Let's cut that in half. Actually, let's shorten this. And then I'll cut it roughly in half. Move this over here, move the flag, move the second ding. Let's see how that sounds.
0.1.
Let's see how this sounds. Bit more. Perfect. I'm liking the timing on that. So this is part of step editing. That's how I call the type of editing I do. So no, like if you do linear editing, which is that you perfect everything as you go and is a lot slower. So if you do linear editing, it's a lot slower. So you go I don't know how to describe it well. Basically, I'm doing step editing, so I'm not actually moving the location of the clips or editing the clips themselves until the rough framework is finished. So that means that, let's say it's going to look, the visuals are going to look like this for a little while. That I have that initial clip in the right location first, just so that way I get a visual in my head of like, okay, this is how it should look. This is looking good. And then what's going to happen is it's going to move on to the next thing where you can see this is not in the right place. It doesn't really look very good. But then after, I'm going to go back and edit the locations of everything. And then I'm going to add more and more to it as I go back to certain things. It's a lot faster and more efficient and results in a better product from my 10 years of experience. So let's see how this is looking so far. Let's add one more ding. What's the amount of time on this? So this is 1.04 seconds. So let's have 30. No, because it's doubling the 30 frames. So let's have 15 frames. Yeah, because I want to really just roll straight into that. So let's copy and paste that, delete this. You're telling me I've been linear editing when there is when there was a faster way. Yes, there is a much faster way, and that's the editing style that I'm doing. So I guess I'll go into a bit more depth with this because this video is this live stream is supposed to be partially tutorial. So let's say there are two ways. Let's say we're looking at this section right over here that I'm editing, right? So there's two approaches you can do to it. The first approach is that what I would do is I would add in all the clips are added, right? Then what I would do is that I find the exact perfect timing for the actual sound effects right over here that I want it to be this long, then this long, that gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And at the same time, while I'm doing it, it's linear. So I go, okay, I edit this. I adjust the timing for that. I put the keyframe exactly where I want it. Then I go to the next one. I adjust the timing for it. I put the exact keyframe. And on top of keyframes, you're also putting transitioning. So like, let's say what you're going to do is that you do that thing I mentioned earlier, which is, let's copy this, paste it, and let's do a fast this time. Let's do it from over here. And like, let's say it would look like this. So you're adding also this editing to it. So like that.
So you're doing all of that linearly. So I do all that for this clip. Then once I get here, I do all of that for this clip, then this clip, and so on until I'm done with this section. Then move on to the next section and do the editing for that. There are several problems with this editing technique. Firstly, it means that once you get to the next section of the commentary, and that section of the commentary is not entirely similar to the previous section of the commentary, meaning you switch topics slightly, then in your mind, it makes it more difficult to visualize what you want there to be on screen next. It makes it harder because then you're going to take time to consider, okay, what should I put on screen over here? And as a result, even once you do figure it out, it's not going to really look as good as it could have been, or at least if you spend the equivalent amount of time on it. If you instead build out the base first. So this is the base. The absolute base of this video is the commentary and the background. So as you saw, I started with just the commentary and just the background. Then from there, I'm adding the visual elements on screen. So I figured, okay, for this section, I'm going to want to show the viewers' comments from the first video. So as you saw, I spent 20 minutes just grabbing comments from over there. And then now that I have the comments, I imported them at the same time. But this is where you get into step editing, as I like to call it. There's probably a real term for this. This is just the term I use for it. So step editing is dividing everything into smaller steps. So instead of going a linear approach of just keep on going and going and going and going, instead you group together similar tasks. So first you build that foundation where what you're going to do is that you are going to simply put the things in the scene. Then you're going to put everything into rough position. So as you can see, this is literally like what step editing. This is the idea of step editing. So I go from here, then it goes here, here, here. And the timings right now do not matter at all. All that matters is that they are roughly where they should be. And then I move everything into a more ideal place after the fact. After that, what's going to happen is then I adjust things like the audio timing. Then I add in keyframe information, such as, okay, this is going to be on screen over here in this exact position for this amount of time. Then I add transitionary information, and then I add fluff. Fluff is the last part. It's what comes after the entire rest of the video is completely edited. It's things like, okay, let's say I want to add background music. Let's say I want to add like a little logo on top, a border. Let's say I want to add in a fancy little animation that I have to custom make. That type of information. Because once you have the base of the video set up, then you have a good idea in your head of what the video actually looks like. And if you have an idea of what the video actually looks like in your head, it makes it significantly easier for you to realize, okay, this is how I can make it look even better if I do this right over here at this exact frame. So that's the idea of step editing. As a result, by doing editing like this, it makes the project significantly more efficient and it comes out a lot nicer. Also, you never ever want to work with a black background. Ever. If you work with a black background, it will stifle your creativity. It's like if you have a white background and you're trying to draw a picture. Like, here's a great example. Okay, I want to draw a person. How in God's name do I turn a completely white piece of paper into a person? You have no idea where to even start. By using a background, it gives you a starting point. And by having a starting point, it makes it that you can keep on going off of that. Now, this background specifically, I was able to make in like 5 minutes. I literally went into Photoshop. I got a purple color that I used the paint bucket on. Then I added a small border right over here. And then I added some very, very light fluffing all around the thing. And I've been using this for several videos. So now let's get back into the editing. So right now so normally I would do complete step editing, but right now for the sake of this live stream, I'm doing a hybrid of step and linear editing, so that way it's more entertaining for you guys, so that way I could make more visual progress at once. So what I'm doing is I am just going to put some things over here. Then, so normally I would make all the tracks, put everything in their place. But right now, I'm just putting everything in the rough place, just a couple of them. And then I'm going to edit the timings and then the keyframes in a more linear fashion. So let's actually try it with identical timings without it speeding up. So the idea is simplify every step into their base components. Once it's at its most fundamental base component, at its most simplest, then you expand the complexity from there. When things are simple, you can figure out how to make them more complex. If you start out complex, it's going to make things harder. So let's keep things simple, and one way to make it simple is, okay, I wanted to speed up, fine. I went and I halved the time, and I'm going to keep that halved time, the exact same time, this time interval right over here, for the remainder of the clips for now. And then once everything is set up with that base foundation, then I'm going to go ahead and adjust the timings to make them faster. That's a part of step editing. So right over here, and all I'm doing is syncing these clips to the start of those things. So that is perfect. Next one is right over there. Next one is here. So now I'm going to create a bunch more tracks. Create video track, oh, I could duplicate it actually. And then what I'll do is I'll select all 4 of these and duplicate those, making it faster. So I'm at 7. And I'm going to reduce the size of this, because right now, normally you want to make sure these things are very big, but the content of each of these things, the thumbnails don't actually matter here. The timing is what matters here. So I'm actually going to reduce the size of everything, because I don't really need them to be very big right now. Instead, I need to be able to have a lot of tracks on screen very easily to work with. So 7, 8. And let's turn the auto ripple on for a second. The auto ripple will move everything like a group. And this is going to be 9, 10. You can see how much faster this is when you group everything together. 11, 12. I'm going to need to duplicate the tracks again. And I'll delete any tracks that I don't end up needing. So let's copy from here to here, copy. And then I'm going to go here and paste. And let's paste one more time, because again, I could delete anything that I don't need. My perspective of editing has just been so much more simplified now. Yeah, again, this is what happens when you have 10 years of editing experience. I've been editing videos for most of my life, actually, probably. Not really most of my life. I'm in my mid-20s, but still, I've been editing since I was very young, so I really know what I'm doing. In general, if you need feedback on a project or just need some tips, feel free to let me know either on Discord or even in the comments of any of my videos, because I really know what I'm doing, and I'm probably not the best editor on earth, but I could definitely give you a lot of advice that really comes from experience. Here we go. Now, I'm sure there's definitely probably a way that you can automate this, but there's no point in something that's only going to take like a few minutes like this. So usually with things that will take a significant chunk of time, you do want to automate them. Vegas supports scripts, so I don't remember where they are. Under edit, I think. Is it extensions? No. Here, scripting. So there, you could actually create batch scripts. Now, I don't have any experience with this. I've only heard of it. I wish I actually did have experience with this. But if you know C# or C++ coding, you can code a script that's able to batch do some tasks for you that otherwise would be pretty repetitive. Again, you need to understand coding in order to make them, but depending on what you're doing, that could make things very, very easy for you for very repetitive tasks. So I do recommend utilizing that if you feel like you can.
So now that all those are in place, I could delete the extra ones, and then the idea will be to drag this out to the farthest most portion. Because once everything roughly is in place, then I could adjust timings very easily. The idea is, let's get this tedious part out of the way as efficiently and quickly as possible. Because everything after that, okay, you know something, it really doesn't matter. I'm sure there's even a way that I don't even have to drag all these all together, but it's quick enough that I really don't care to mess around with the Vegas functions. There we go. So now let's see how that looks. Now keep in mind, this is only a draft. So it's going to look a lot better once I really go in there and edit things a lot nicer. But this is just a draft to give an idea of how it will look.
Point 1.
Okay, so as you can see right over there, it gives the general idea of what I want to get across with this general section, but the issue is it takes way too long, and also there are some issues with some of the clips not being big enough to appear ahead of everything else. So the solution for that is very simple. You adjust the timing. So now is where you get into step 2 of the step process of editing. So first, by the way, I really wish you could make folders for tracks. It's so annoying that you cannot make a folder and just like hide the folders. Like in Photoshop, you can make like a folder. In Game Maker, you can make a region. You can't do that in Vegas. I just want to hide certain of these things that I'm not working with actively right now. That's really annoying. Reaction channels have it easy. No, reaction channels, like if you look at something like the React channel specifically, they put a decent amount of time into editing. But the people that they literally just take their webcam, they put it in front of the thing, it's not that much editing. I've done similar things before in terms of like what the editing involved with it is. The hardest part, honestly, is syncing up the camera with the actual thing. And even with that, there are some tricks you could use to make it that it takes like no time at all. Yeah, overall it's pretty lazy in terms of the content, but it is what it is. I'm not going to get into the debate as to whether or not it's copyright infringement, by the way. I think it is, but whatever. So, the idea is, okay, the first one is a full-size ding. The second one is around half the size. Now, by this point, once you get to the second one, the viewer has the idea in their head, okay, you know something, I get it. He's showing a lot of them on screen. So the idea is, okay, let's get really quick into the thing. So I'm going to make this around half the size. It doesn't need to be perfect. So with some edits, I want to be perfectly half the size or perfectly a quarter the size or whatever. In this case, it doesn't really need to be perfectly half the size. So I can do it like that. So then what I'm going to do is, let's turn the auto ripple on and move. And let's have it affect all tracks. Let's turn it off briefly, delete this, copy it, paste it, and reduce the size even further. And I think this is going to be the size I'm going to work with after that point. So I might make it even shorter, we'll see. 1, 2, 3, no, this needs to be a bit shorter. So that's lined up. And then let's do this. Let's move comment 4 over here. Now again, I didn't even put any keyframes yet for any of the comments over here. That's a huge part of step editing. If I were to put a keyframe for every one of these comments right now, that would take triple the amount of time versus what I'm doing right over here. Because by that point, once you're doing it like that, then you have to worry, oh, I already put these keyframes, now they're going to shift over, blah, blah, blah. No, because I'm not putting the keyframes now. I'm still working on the timings. if I'm still working on the timings, there's no point in putting keyframes yet until I nail down what the timings are actually going to be. That's another reason why step editing is so much more efficient. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and actually, 1 second. Let's turn off the auto ripple and then paste a whole bunch of them. That should be enough. I'll put a few more because I could always delete them. So comment 4 is right over here, and you're going to see there's a significant improvement in terms of just how the clip actually feels. So let's turn on the auto ripple. Okay, let's turn it off actually because it's affecting that for some reason. And you have to actually make sure that you get it on the thing. Ah, I see. Okay. So I'm going to have to redo that step. Ah, shoot. Because the thing is not perfect in terms of the keyframe. So no timing till general draft is done. Split everything into chunks to further simplify the editing process. Got it. Exactly. Why waste time on something if you're just going to have to go back and change it after anyways? It doesn't make sense. Because that's just going to waste a whole bunch of time you didn't need to waste. Here we go. Comment 6. I'm sure you could batch process this, by the way. This is something you could probably batch process. Actually, I'm almost certain you probably can. But for me, with me being as bad at coding as I am, it would take longer for me to make a batch process in order to actually do this than it would be to just do it. But if you do have the opportunity to learn coding, or you are good at coding, it is significantly more efficient in order to create a batch process to do all this than it would be to just do it for something like this. Just do it. So I actually want to see how this is looking just because I don't want to finish it and it turns out it doesn't look good. Shoot, let me put it at half quality because that was lagging.
Believe. Point 1.
Okay, let me see that again.
Point 1.
Yeah, I generally like that. So it's not going to actually look like that. So right now it's flashing everything. But what I'm going to do when I enter the keyframe step is that I'm going to, let's say that this one is going to be right over here. Then this one is going to be like this general area, like half sideways, maybe upside down, things like that. And they're all going to just pile on top of each other in different areas of the screen to show how many people legitimately believe that. Who's your favorite SAO character? Yuuki. Easy. Keep in mind, in spite of me loving Yuuki as a character, my bias is in favor of the facts, not in terms of who is best girl. So, like, I literally got a comment of, yeah, clearly I'm biased, and I'm like, yes, I am biased. I'm biased in favor of the facts, and the fact is that Yuuki is simply stronger. I don't care if Kirito was legitimately stronger as a fighter. I don't care. It is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. But it's that these people, they don't understand that no, Kirito is not God. He will lose in a fight if he loses. He's not the strongest character ever. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to adjust some timings over here after the fact. Oh shoot! I forgot I could just do that. Okay. Yeah, this is probably more efficient. Yeah, that looks uniform. Okay, let me also check something with this, because I'm noticing some lag. Preferences, video. Yeah, let me put 16,000. Oh, I'm already using half my RAM. Yeah, let me keep it at 8,000. Actually, I'll lower to 6,000. I really need a new CPU, honestly. So, like, Malcolm X getting shot. I don't get the reference. So now I'm just making the end point of all these clips the same, so that way I could actually do a universal trim on all of them all together once I find that ideal spot. And you can see right here, by the way, guys, that this section right over here, I haven't even edited any of the real commentary yet. This is why editing takes so long for me, because once I start editing, it takes forever for me to really edit something down to a point that I like. Okay, and let me adjust the color of these tracks. Wait, I can group tracks? I guess I can group tracks. Oh my god, I can group tracks! When did they add this? I'm guessing they added it in Vegas 17. That is amazing! Oh my god. That is actually amazing. So right now I'm just editing the track color, so that way I can know, okay, all this is part of the same general thing. I wish you had more options for colors, like maybe a color wheel, but no, they don't want to give us something more than that. The reference is Ali the movie. I haven't seen that movie. These guys are helping you sleep with these blanket statements. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, so now that I know I could actually group tracks together, that actually makes things really, really interesting. Okay, so now I can actually group this, and oh my god, that really makes the workflow significantly better. I can do so much now with track grouping. Okay, so let me do this. So, comments. Mute the track. Oh my god, that is amazing. I can mute and solo the track. That is great. And I could obviously shrink and expand the track too. That is amazing. That is legitimately amazing. Okay, let me if comments doesn't look right. Instead of naming it comments, let's name it 0-3 sourced comments. That's fine. So 0-3 refers to, okay, this is the section of the video it's referring to, and the rest is saying, okay, this is what it actually is. So now that everything is roughly where I want it to be, So I'm going to grab this one and delete all of those. So that makes exactly 23 of those. And now let's see how that looks. So this is not the final version still, but this will look significantly better.
These are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe. Point 1.
Perfect. Now, just for testing purposes, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a small little gap between that, but bring that here. And let's see how that looks.
Some of these are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe. Point 1. Your headcanon is not canon. You...
Perfect. That was perfect. Oh my god, I love that. Oh my god. Will I ever make a top 10 strongest characters in SAO? I've considered it. The answer is probably no, though. There would be so many problems with a video like that. I can do a top 3. I cannot do even a top 5, though. Top 3 would be Broccoli, Yuuki, Kirito. Most likely. And I'm talking characters. If you're talking entities, then I don't even know where you would scale something like the Abyssal Horror, which is exclusive to Untitled Ring, which there's not even a translation out for that yet. So I don't even know anything about it aside for it exists. Aside from that, it's not even a character, and the entire thing around it, I'm pretty sure, involves incarnation. So, yeah, I have no idea. Maybe I do a top 3, but I don't even think that deserves a video in that case. Would Suguha make, I'm assuming you're referring to the top 10 list? Most likely, yes, actually, but very low on the list if she wouldn't make it. Actually, probably not, now that I think about it. If I had to rank everything, I'm like... You know what? No, actually, maybe not. I don't think she would make the list. Maybe if you did top 15, maybe she would, but you have to consider that the Integrity Knights just completely trounce most other characters in the series. Like, how would you compare someone like General Eugene even to the Integrity Knights? We have a lot of solid info on General Eugene. He's a solid character, but I don't even know how you would scale something like General Eugene to Broccoli even. Like, let alone something like just the Integrity Knights in general to other characters. This is the problem with doing a top 10 on power scaling SAO characters. If you want any semblance of accuracy, I really just don't know how to scale everything properly with that. Like, this is like a 2 to 6 hour video on just Kirito and Yuuki. Just those two. When I do a video like this, I really go in depth with this stuff. Imagine if I were to expand it to 10 characters. That would be nuts. Okay, so now that I like the result of this, by the way, what do you guys think of this? I'll play it one more time. Let me know what you guys think of how this looks. Not really as much looks, but just the overall feel of it.
Some of these are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe. Point 1. Your headcanon is not canon.
So I really like how that is turning out. Also, I'm using Bluetooth on my earbuds. I might need to switch to wired because I'm getting some significant lag that I'm pretty sure is a result of increased stress on the system. But for the sake of right now, or at least for the rest of the stream, it should be fine because I don't really need audio too much for it. So, I'm going to move this clip back. So I think I'm going to do that where I have the clip slightly after that. That's like ding, 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 ding. Then it shows the last clip for like a second or two. I'm like, your headcanon is not canon. And I think I'm going to do that like that. But for right now, while I'm working on some more timing stuff, and really now I'm going to do some of the keyframe stuff for this section, I really want that out of the way so that way it's not interfering with anything. So now I can do some keyframe stuff. So first, let's start with comment 1. So comment 1, and let's drag this out now. So originally, just for the sake of easy 20 hours, LOL, if top 10, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 20 hours. I don't think it would be 20 hours. I just don't think it would ever come out, period, with how much work would have to go into that. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this video gets canceled just because of how long it would take to finish it, let alone something on that scale.
So originally I set this to be half size, so the width on this, and by the way, if you want to really get good at editing, you should learn some simple math for where you want to place certain things and things like that. So the default width of everything with the track motion is the default width of the project. In this case, it's 1920 by 1080. Also, oh shoot, it's not locked. 1 second. Weird. Should be locked. Maybe it's because of the aspect ratio? I don't know. So what I'm going to do is that normally I would keep it this big, but the idea right here is, okay, let's make it that the viewers read it and it needs to be the center of attention. If it needs to be the center of attention, let's make it 1280 by 720. So it's 1280 by 720, 720p. It is a portion of the screen, making it that it will still take up a lot of the screen, but whatever. Wait, Yugo is greater than Eugene since he's fighting the Integrity Knights. That's exactly the point. I have legitimately no idea. Just for perspective, by the way, there is a legitimate case to be made that General Eugene is stronger than Kirito. It's not true. I can easily debunk it. But if someone were to make that argument, there is a legitimate argument to be made there entirely because of incarnation scaling, which again is the most accurate form of power scaling we have currently in SAO. Think about it like this. Factors such as strength, such as like a lot of factors of in-game stats are manipulatable depending on what game you're in. In SAO, your stats are different from an ALO. So because of that, like if you look at Pale Rider, for example, in the GGO arc, we've never seen anyone in any other game, except possibly, if you argue, the Underworld, kind of, sort of, perform the kind of jumps that he did in GGO. And we know that some characters do have maxed out stats in some other fields, but we've never seen anyone being able to jump distances like that. That means scaling simply works in GGO differently than it does in other games. And because of that, we can't just assume that someone like Pale Rider will be able to jump that high and that far in something like SAO as he could in something like GGO. There's a difference though when it comes to OSS scaling. OSS scaling is so accurate entirely because it is entirely dependent on the player's actual ability to perform a specific feat, and it's something universal. So something like Pale Rider being able to jump very far, how are you supposed to scale that to something like Kirito running very far? It's totally different. Like let's say Kirito running somewhere very far. How are you supposed to compare the two? They're completely different actions. But when you're talking about OSS scaling, it's the exact same action. Because it's the same action, you can compare it. And even better, we have a ruler we can compare it to. Because in order to create an OSS, you need to create the sword skill at a speed recognized by the system to be the something that would match the actual system speed of a finished sword skill. That means even if we don't know the specific speed of a sword skill, like we can't say a sword skill is 300 miles per hour. No, but we know that it is a set speed, and we know that OSSs are scalable to that speed. That means you can use it as a rough ruler in order to compare different characters. So something like Yuuki being able to completely parry Asuna's entire quadruple pain sword skill is literally, that scales her higher than system speed in terms of her base abilities. And that is exactly why she would be capable of creating an 11-part OSS, quote, fresh after conversion. That's the actual light novel quote, fresh after conversion, implying likely within a few hours at absolute maximum. So if she is so fast and so agile that she is able to literally parry a sword skill by one of the fastest players in the game, someone literally nicknamed the Lightning Flash, and using the fastest sword type in the game, the Rapier, she's able to completely parry that in unfavorable conditions, then of course she'd be able to easily create an 11-part OSS. Meanwhile, Kirito, he simply just can't do that. He's been demonstrated that he cannot create a sword skill that's higher than General Eugene's 8-part Volcanic Blazer. If he can't create something higher than that, then how can we even definitively say that he is stronger than General Eugene, let alone Yuuki? Now,
again, I dive into this video as to the fact that Kirito is stronger than General Eugene, but that is still a legitimate argument to be made. Tell me how Yuki beats Yugo. Yuki beats Yugo simply because the fact that Yugo is weaker than Kirito, as it's basically confirmed, at least at the point of his death. Now, there is arguments to be made, legitimate arguments and speculations as to whether or not he had more potential than Kirito. I think if he lived longer, that he would have probably surpassed Kirito. But keep in mind also that they were training for 2 full years. Yuki, meanwhile, was able to achieve everything that she did in a mere 6 to 12 months. And also, she was able to catch on to a lot of things that Kirito was able to do a lot faster than Yugo was ever able to. So that basically means that, yes, he might be a prodigy, he might have more potential than Kirito, but he's never demonstrated any specific skills that are superior to Kirito, and even in instances where he has, it's nothing that would even be remotely comparable to Yuki, and even still, give them comparable time, Yuki still is a generally stronger fighter. Okay, let's get back to some editing. So now, as I said, I'm going to be editing some of the keyframe data. So, as I said right here, I did it as a 1280 by 720. Usually, for some things, I want to be exact, real numbers like that are, like, there are solid round numbers you generally want to use for video editing. Things that usually match with actual video resolutions, like 1280 by 720, 1920 by 1080, 640 by 480, things like that. In this case, I'm going to go 1280 by 720 for the initial comment, but the rest after that are not nearly as important. So I'm going to delete this flag right here that I don't need. And then after that, I'm going to now edit the track motion for this one. So let's start at a base of 1280 by 720. Now I'm going to tilt it slightly and move it over here. Where I'm moving these two really doesn't matter, just the fact that I am moving it is the goal. So those are both set as a hold. So now if I play the video, perfect. So I'm liking how that is looking. And now, as you can see, it's much faster to just go in and add one keyframe to every one of these in a series of, in order, rather than doing it linearly of going, adjusting the timings, then figuring everything out. No, I have everything in scope. I already have the timings adjusted. I literally just have to add the keyframe and move it literally anywhere on screen. And this is why you can see that step editing like this is significantly faster and more efficient than other forms of editing. Now, I'm sure you can make some kind of randomized function or a script that would be able to randomize this and put them at random keyframes and batch process it. But again, that would probably take longer than just doing it like this. And by longer, I just mean longer for me, because again, I really stink at coding and I don't know C#, so. Shoot, wrong one. So remember, when I add a keyframe to here, I'm always setting it as a hold and changing it from a linear to a hold. There's a very good reason for that. If you put it as a linear and then put something later in the track, and you put a keyframe for that, then that will mean that the thing over here will actually move to that position. So let's say I put a keyframe over here, literally just so that way I could put something, like let's say I want to, here, 1 second. Here, let's put it in 1. So I'd put it by 1 right over here. And this is the whatever it is, whatever. And let's say I put a keyframe right over here just so that way I could adjust its position. But let's say I forget to put this as a linear. Well, that screws everything up because
I just put this here just so that way I could have its position. But now, as a result of that, if you look over here, point 1, it's actually moving. That's why you need to actually switch it to a hold. Now, there is another way to do it, the way I used to do it when I was a lot less good at video editing, which is to just put a duplicate one of this right before the keyframe over here. So reference guide episode 4, I think, I actually used this method where I would put the same keyframe one frame before where I wanted to change it, right over here. So it stays here to here, that same keyframe, because both of them are in the same position, and then it moves to this one. But there's no sense in doing that when you could just do a hold. My point is, again, I've been experimenting for years with video editing. I know what I'm doing. So let's delete that. I just wanted to demonstrate that. If you make a 6-hour video, I'm definitely watching it all. I don't think a lot of people are going to watch it if it's 6 hours. I don't care, though. I don't make these videos expecting 1,000 people to watch it. I'm shocked that the original video got 15,000 views. I just make these videos because, again, I get a lot of enjoyment from making videos. Shoot. Piece of junk. So, by the way, as soon as I'm done adding the keyframes and testing this section of the video, the live stream is probably going to end. So, probably in our 10-20 minutes, the stream's going to go on for, just so that way you guys are aware. Here, so again, remember to change it to a hold. Next, this one. Here. Again, you gotta remember to switch it to a hold. Switch everything to a hold. Now, the reason you want the thumbnails a bit bigger for something like this is just because it makes it easier, so that way you don't accidentally, like if everything's too small, then you might accidentally click the same one twice. It just makes it easier to see everything, and that's why I usually do recommend. Again, you want to have ultra wides, and you want to have 2 of them, one on top of the other. It just makes editing a complete breeze when you're editing like this. So does anyone have any general questions? I'm curious. Got to switch that to a hold. Only at 12. Look how much it's taking up the screen, and I'm only halfway done with these. So many dumb comments.
Suguha carried the Alfheim arc. In my opinion, she destroyed the Alfheim arc, but hey, same difference. Carried, destroyed, same thing. Again, if you like the Alfheim arc, I'm glad you can enjoy something that I can't. But I just don't like it. I love making fun of it. Let me do it like this. I'm on 14 of 22. Oh, 23 actually. Can I move this over? Yeah, I can actually. That should make it easier for me to spot everything. If I forget the holds for a lot of these, it doesn't really matter too much because I don't think I'm going to be using this for a lot, but I might go back after the stream is over and just fix the, some of these things. Do I have any waifus? No, I don't. I have a lot of characters that I love, but not love as in like, oh, they're my waifu. The closest thing I would say... The closest thing, so keep in mind this is not... I do not have a waifu. The closest thing I would say is either Inori from Guilty Crown, garbage show, but oh man, she has an amazing design, and Kurumi from Date A Live. But again, neither of them are my waifu because I don't have a waifu. Also, both Kurumi and Inori have twin tails, which is obviously a massive plus. So I am almost done with this. I'm on 18 of 23, so 5, 6 left. This is going to be great. I think this is honestly gonna look really cool. I'm purposely trying to cover up all the purple because if you see the purple, it makes it look like, okay, you know what, it wasn't as bad. So I'm like resizing everything and shifting everything in ways to try to cover up as much of the purple as possible. So that way it really makes it look like, okay, you know something really, like there's so many comments that takes up the entirety of the editing space. You want to use little tricks like that. Keep in mind, when you are editing a video, the people watching the video are at your mercy, in a way. Because you are the one entirely framing the narrative. You have full control over what is shown, what is said, and what is done. And that's great. That's great for videos like this where you have a legitimate argument to make, or even in joke videos. Like I used editing tricks extensively in my Mind Did Nothing Wrong video to purposely omit facts that went against my points while emphasizing things that countered arguments against it. and I use little editing tricks to make things look like connections that really weren't, and use other tricks to make to disassociate certain connections that you should have made. So there's lots of little tricks you could generally use while editing, and the more psychological tricks you use in order to influence the viewer, the better the end result has the potential to be. So by this point, I covered up literally all the purple, so that will make it in the viewer's mind, oh my god, this is much more comments than it really is. Now, keep in mind, it's still 23 comments, but from the perspective of the viewer, oh my god, this is like 100. I'm going to switch 23 and 22. Another great video where I use a lot of crazy editing tricks was my Kikuoka did not my Kikuoka as a lizard person video. That video was honestly one of the most fun videos I've ever made. I just went full Alex Jones conspiracy theory with that video. There we go. So now I'm going to see how that actually looks.
Misconceptions that you might still believe. Point 1.
Okay, so I like how that turned out, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a small delay between here. And then I'm going to add that clip over here, and let's see how that looks. And this hopefully should be the final product, at least for this small section of the video. So let's take a listen of how and see of how that looks.
From the previous video here, so we could all point and laugh at them. In all seriousness though, while most of these misconceptions are just the result of monkeys with access to the YouTube comment section, some of these are legitimate misconceptions that you might still believe. Point 1. Your head canon is not canon.
That's very good. I just need to adjust the timings of some things. I love that, honestly. I just need to adjust the timings. Move that. Move this. And I'll need to verify with actual headphones because I think there's a small delay coming from my earbuds because they're wireless. So let's just see that one more time.
Point 1. Your head canon is not canon.
Yeah, that's great. Let me just hear the full clip. I want to... So actually what I'll do is I'll extend all of them out, and this is not going to be how it looks for the entire video because I'm actually going to do some editing later on for this section. But I just want to so let's group them temporarily. Then remove all of them from the group. And let's see how that comes out. So keep in mind, I'm gonna do some legitimate editing for this section. I just want to see, okay, this is how the general thing looks without a completely blank canvas.
Point 1. Your headcanon is not canon. You can think that Kirito is stronger all you want, but if you cannot back it up with any evidence beyond you just saying he is, then I'm sorry, but you're just flat out wrong. I've seen legitimate arguments in favor of Kirito. I've debunked every one of them and will do it again in this video, but you could at least try pointing to a legitimate argument. If you can't even be bothered to state a reason on why you think Kirito is stronger, then I won't be bothered to spend my time formulating an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong.
You know what? I think I'm going to keep it like that, honestly. That right there was perfect. Having all those ridiculous comments in the background for me to criticize with that statement is absolute perfection. Oh my god, there's no better way to do it, honestly. Wrong, a fanboy. I know. Oh my god. I want to see it one more time just to see it. Like, wow. That was perfect.
Point 1. Your headcanon is not canon. You can think that Kirito is stronger all you want, but if you cannot back it up with any evidence beyond you just saying he is, then I'm sorry, but you're just flat out wrong. I've seen legitimate arguments in favor of Kirito. I've debunked every one of them and will do it again in this video, but you could at least try pointing to a legitimate argument. If you can't even be bothered to state a reason on why you think Kirito is stronger, then I won't be bothered to spend my time formulating an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong.
That was perfect. Honestly, that really is perfect. I do need to adjust the timings over here, this general section of when everything comes on screen. But I really like how that came out. In my head, I wasn't really sure if it would come out great, but that came out so great. Let's see what point 2 looks like right after that. It's going to be a blank canvas, though.
Then I won't be bothered to spend my time formulating an in-depth reply explaining why you're wrong.
You know what? You know what I'll do, actually? Oh my god, this is a great idea. You know what I'll do? For the really, really dumb for like the really dumb points, I'm going to do that for every single one of them. That will be great. Oh my god. So the next one is another really dumb one. So like imagine that same thing, and you saw the comments I was going through. I have tons of material to work with. So let me first just do a very simple trim. I'll make it more accurate a bit after.
Point 2, and I cannot believe I actually have to explain this. Kirito does not have any, quote, main character plot armor. For sake, this isn't Neptunia, where Neptune is literally stated to have actual canon plot armor as long as she's the main character. If you try to argue this, then I'm sorry, but you're a moron, and I'm not going to waste my time trying to argue with you. In the eternal words of S.D. Weishofer, arguing with a moron is like trying to play chess with a pigeon. It knocks over the pieces, shit on the board, and tries to fly back to its flock to claim a victory.
Perfect. Okay. I think I'm going to end it there. I'm going to use this exact methodology for every one of the dumb points. And judging by this script, there are going to be a lot of dumb points to discuss. So I think I'm going to end the stream there. How long have I been streaming for anyways? Before I leave though, Jared Bowen said, who's your favorite character in all of anime? Let me take a second to think about it, Yuuki. Is that even a question? Honestly, it's pretty obvious. It's Yuuki. Yeah, though. So I've been streaming for over 2 hours now. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. This was a very productive stream, and I'm sure you guys learned a lot. So, this video, as it stands, is
nowhere near done. It's going to take anywhere between 1 to 6 months to finish it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. So I'll see you guys in the next stream whenever I decide to stream next. Have a good one.